Hey, this is Tyler with TJX Survival.
Lenny with Live the Adventure.
And I'm going to teach him how to make a bow drill, so stay tuned. So before you even start building a bow drill, you gotta have your fire lay and your kindling tinder nest material first. We're in an area where a bunch of cottonwood trees have been blown over, and the cambium layer, which is the layer of stringy bark between the outer rough bark layer and the inner hardwood layer, makes great bow drill material. This, for some crazy reason, is hanging from a tree. It's a big chunk of it. That'll be some great nesting material. Now, because it's snowy and wet and cold and nasty out here, I'm gonna wad this all up and put it in my pocket. My body heat is gonna kinda dry it out a little bit. Okay, it's gonna take a while, but that's about the best thing you can do with nesting material. What's wrong, Tess? Are you cold? Hi. Good girl. Good girl. So the first thing that you need is your bow for your bow drill. Basically, you're going to want a almost straight stick that's about armpit to hand or a little bit further in length. Anything bigger than that, then it's harder to control. So right there. So looking for something that's no more than a thumb or two thick. This right here will probably work pretty good. Knock the snow off of it first. So that'll give me a nice thick, good bow drill right here. Another one right there. Okay, so let's make the actual bow. What you can do with your bow is if you cut it green, and then once you've got your fire, you fire harden it. That'll give it a lot of springy elasticity so that it can stay rigid for you. Okay, so if I'm measuring this again, right there is plenty enough bow drill length or bow length to chop this with. An interesting note, you carve that all in a circle like that so that you've got all of the bark no longer attached. Just pops right in the middle really easily. There's one bow. We're gonna get you a bow too. All right, so he's gonna measure from just beyond the tip of his finger to his armpit. Okay, there's a big long bow drill for length. All right, again, if you just cut this in a circle so that all of the green is cut, you can bust it. Snaps really quick. All right, there's your bow. All right, so I need to make a spindle. This is not as long as I want, but here's the key with the spindle. You can cut a banana straight. What that means is, you see how there's a curve right here? I'm gonna cut from here where the curve is up, and I'm gonna cut where that other part is down. So if you see my angle, so I need to cut this straight. So if I cut that down, that's how I cut a banana straight. Shave it until it's straight-ish. That's how we're gonna harvest the wood for our spindles. Let me find a bigger piece than this. I'll make it work. So this is kind of fat, but that's because all the bark's gonna be removed before I even start to use it. You want it to be no smaller than a thumb diameter when you're done with it. This is perfect because this tree right here fell out of the tree above, so it's obviously dead and hanging, which means it's gonna be dry on the inside. So I'm gonna chop it right here, and we're gonna split it, and that's gonna be my hearth board. So So I'm going to chop this in pieces and make a couple of baseboards out of it so that Lenny's got one and I've got one. You just want a flat 2x4 or 2x6 or 1x6 if you will, just a board out of this. So the way that I'm going to get that is I'm going to chop it above these knots because knots are just bad. Nature's way of telling you that it doesn't want you to do bushcraft today. And again, I'm kneeling down. If I miss, it's going to hit this or the ground. It's not going to hit me. So hatchet safety is paramount. So when I hit this, it split it. Cracked it right up the middle. That's okay, because that's kind of what I want anyway. So there's one of my baseboards. So I'm going to carve this flat, probably this thicker one because this is almost too thin. But I'll save this because it can be my socket on the top. Here's my other one. Actually, this one's Lenny's. He just doesn't know it yet. Okay. Get rid of that. So what I basically need is a thin strip that I can drill. The way that I'm going to handle that is to carve it with this axe. So that top's good enough. I'm going to carve the bottom flat now. A little thinner than I would have liked it, but there is a decently flat baseboard right there. We can use this section of it. So taking this big piece, and again, when we're cutting a banana straight, I just cut that big chunk off there. Take all the wood or all the bark off with it. Okay, now you can see it curves like this. So from about right here down, I got to cut, and from right there I got to cut. When you get to where you're taking too much material off with the hatchet, because it's almost too effective, that's where you'll switch to a knife. The other thing too, with the knife, it's going to be so much easier on my hand. The technique's a little bit more lightweight chopping, okay? This way, I'm not taking too much material out when I chop it. See how that makes it nice and flat? It's kind of like a finishing tool. Basically a flat piece of wood, a little bit of a bow on it because of that knot, but we will drive on. Right, there's my baseboard. Now I'm going to make some spindles. And again, I'm going to carve a banana straight. Take all this bark off because I can't do anything with that. It won't spin on your paracord if you've got bark. Alright, you can see how it's got some curve to it. One thing that I really like to do is put my chin on it right here, because then I can see right where the bulges are at, and I can just cut them all the way off. And I'm not thinking about where the top and the bottom of the spindle is yet, because as I cut it, there's going to be a natural side that's fatter versus skinnier. You're just going to put the fat side on the bottom and the skinny side on top and cut your spindle that way. That's a fairly straight-ish stick. Okay, so I got those. All right, now I'm going to build the bow part of the bow drill. All I'm really going to do is strip off the bark, round the ends, and put some notches for my string. Willow is a better material for this. You can see how this starts to splinter just a little bit because it's cottonwood, which grows faster and therefore is not as dense. So here's my bow for the bow drill. Just a little bit of an arc, so when I run it, the spindle will stay just inside that arc. Not so much, because you get those wide bows and they slap all over the place and they're unstable. You have something that just has a minor curve to it, that's perfect. That's all you need in order to run your spindle on your bow drill. Now we assemble it. So normally when you're in a survival situation, you don't want to cut your paracord at all. You just start on the tip of it and then come to the back and then wrap it up the stick like a handle. We're going to cut it today because I'm not actually in a survival situation. But to show you how to do this, you just tie a clove hitch. The short hand in my right hand, I twist it away and slip it over the top. Okay? And then I do that again with the exact same string. Twist it away. Slip it over the top. You should have that X looking design when you're done. Okay? And then I'll twist it a little bit to the side so that when I pull it, it's a self-tightening knot. And then turn it to where the string's actually going to be. And that's all the string that I need. Now, before I go tightening this up, it needs to be measured to the diameter of the spindle that I'm going to use. This is a pretty fat spindle. I'm going to thin it up a little bit, but the way that I measure it is I put it on the outside with the bow of my right hand and the stick in my left, and I go inside 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, I'm using 3 times in order for it to get a good solid grip. I pull this nice and snug, right? And then tilt it at a 45-degree angle and get it really snug. That way I can compensate for the dynamic stretch in the 550 quarter of the rope. So once I've got that, my right thumb is marked my place. Hold it with my left thumb. And again with the clove hitch. Twist and drop. And then the same one again. Twist and drop. That's it. Okay. Now I've got all the string I need for my bow drill. Now, because I don't know if I'm going to need a fatter spindle in the future, I'm going to take a little more length out of that. That's plenty of length. And all that I'm going to do is throw one more half a clove hitch knot on top, where I just twist and drop it. And you can continue to do this as long as you want. Just as an example, you can like walk that all the way up and braid your whole stick like that. But once I've got it good and snug, I'm going to wrap it underneath and build a little bit of a handle with the leftover string. The reason I want this extra string again is maybe you cut your string, maybe you get a fatter spindle, whatever. And then once I get wrapped enough, I'm just going to tuck it and pull it. You do not want slapping string hanging on your bow drill, because what will happen is it'll wrap up inside of your spindle when you're trying to run your spindle. There we go. Okay, now so it's nice and tight. Now I have my bow with the string on the inside where it's going to roll. So we're basically ready. I'm going to clean up my spindle a little bit. The hardest part is getting a straight spindle. If your spindle's not straight, when you run it, it goes and it doesn't work. One more time, but you only get it twice. Okay. Bow drill will warm you up 3 times. Once when you make it, once when you use it, and once when the fire happens. I've been trying to belly heat all of my nesting material. Let's see how well this is going to work. So I can feel the dampness in it. And I want to grind the crap out of this so that it is super, super, super fine. I can still feel the water in this. This is a horrible condition to do a bow drill in. Sometimes you don't have a choice. So I'm going to cover this up to keep the snow out. Now I'm going to use this big chip to catch my ember. The first thing you want to do is called your burn-in. With the burn-in, you're basically just getting this whole thing started. And before I forget, the way I'm going to do this upper socket part is just find a place where my hand fits the nicest. And that's going to be the part that I use. There you go. Now what I'll do is I'll just notch this. Hold your hand high on the blade, put it down so your hand doesn't slide, and cut your other hand. And just notch it like that. Because if I'm holding this too high, it'll slip. There's my top piece. Now we'll do the burn-in. Because this is so wet, I'm going to have to be very, very patient in getting this started. The way I load this up is I go to the outside, go 1, and it needs to be on the lower third, so below halfway down, 2, and 3. Now we got to warm everything up. Stupid stick. Now that that has burnt in, now I'm going to cut my notch. all you need to remember for a notch is it's 1/8 of a pie, not quite to the center. So right here's the center. It's just short of the center. The reason I don't go to the center is if I go all the way to the center, my spindle will blow out. It's about 1/8 of a pie angle, and then I cut a little bit deeper on the back side of this, and it creates a bit of a pocket, and it helps all of that char to build up in there. Something to do in this top part to keep it from catching on fire. The best thing to put in it is a slug. I'm not going to find any slugs or any worms, but if you got them, use them. Otherwise, use something green. Since I don't have anything green, I'm just going to use a piece of this meshed up wet leaf. Slam that up in that little hole I made up top during my burning process. It's going to grind it away. Be careful the leaf doesn't fall on your ember. And then the key is, I'm nice and tall, my leg is up close. I got good downward pressure on it. And now we're going to start the fire. Now with this, I don't keep a locked elbow or I do this crap and it doesn't work. I extend my elbow, I retract my elbow. And I feel it going blah, 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 blah. I move my hand until it's level. That's how you keep it smooth. It's got to be smooth, okay? The elbow bending is what keeps it from creeping up and down the stick. I might actually have an ember in there. Not yet. Take my jacket off because it's way too hot. Trying to get this thing going. Let's try it again. Can't get this lit. So when this starts glazing over, you need to re-chop it so that it will start gripping into the baseboard again. And then of course, up here needs to be totally flat as well. These are the worst conditions I've ever done a bow drill in.
Yeah, it's wet and snowing.
Dripping.
Yep.
Dripping like string wet, snowing, nasty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep building up, getting really close, and then just not finishing. I don't know what I got left in me. Wanna try it?
Sure.
Push. No. Here, do that far and that low. Pull back. Get it lower. Lower. Get faster. Speed up. Okay, you see how you're going up and it's longer? You can't come above this line right here. No ember in that. You gotta be kidding me. Might want to.
What's that?
Might be one.
Maybe. I know the snow cone has to help.
You ready to try it again?
That's tiring, man.
I'm telling you, stop it up here. Rear back here. Rear back here. Not nice to stay tuned to this for a while. Relax. Big strokes. Bigger strokes. You got to use all the string. There you go. The whole thing. Put your hand down. Put your hand down. You're trying to like push it. You're not going to push it. You're going to slide.
Yeah, watching this on YouTube makes it look easy.
Yeah.
For a first timer, this is
About that.
not easy. Especially in these conditions, but
This condition is the worst condition I've ever done a bow drill in, period.
yeah.
You got it? All right, guys. We tried to make the bow drill work like 6 times, okay? And we failed. So, what would you do in a situation like that? Well, you would stop messing with the bow drill and go make a shelter. Once you've got your shelter, then you have a dry environment that you can start doing that bow drill again. If it takes you all night, it takes you all night. Because as you can tell, while we were doing the bow drill, it got really hot. Had to lose some layers. That might keep you warm all night long. So if you get in this nasty of conditions for a bow drill, go change the conditions so that the bow drill can work. So what's your thoughts on the first time having tried a bow drill in probably the worst conditions I've ever seen?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of technique that you do not get, or the whole feeling of it when you watch a YouTube video. Like, I've watched, I don't know how many YouTube videos of people doing bow drills, and it looks so easy, but coming out and actually doing it yourself.
Especially in these horrible conditions.
In these horrible conditions, true. But there still is that whole feel of it, and like,
Yeah.
you just have to do everything right so it goes perfectly.
There's some things you just shouldn't try to learn on YouTube, and the bow drill is one of them. So what I mean by that is this. There's a lot of stuff you don't see, like if you change your hand position with your left hand, the angle, it won't work. You have to keep that spindle vertical. If you start raising up in the back, it won't work because it's going to walk up and down, the string's going to walk up and down or bind up. So there's all this technique where you got to get it even, and it has to feel glassy like it's a marble and it's smooth. That's why they say it's playing the fiddle, not grinding an axe. The bow drill is a fine skill that you learn through practice and practice and practice, and by going out with people that know how to do the bow drill to teach you how to do it properly. It's all these fine balances of getting all that stuff together so that it actually works.
So in all, it was a really good experience for me. I learned a lot, but I'm still going to have to obviously practice in order to get really good at it.
To be continued. That is the right way to make a bow drill. You can see that we made smoke. You can see that we did everything correct, but the conditions were just too wet. Now, I'm going to give him that bow drill set. He's going to take it home and practice some more, get better at it. And in the future, we should be able to come up with a bow drill in these conditions. If you can't come up with the fire, keep working on it till you either change your conditions and the bow drill works, or till you get your fire. Whatever is more important. All right, guys, if this has been valuable to you, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching TJX Survival. And
thanks for watching Live the Adventure. Subscribe buttons all over the place.
all right.
Oh man, first time I've ever done it. Made an ember. Sweet. Yeah! Ember! Look at my face, I'm all sweating. Succeeded! Yes!